Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going on a journey from the historic old town site of Powell River across the Salish Sea by ferry and down Vancouver Island all the way to Victoria. It's a trip filled with heritage, scenic highways, a ferry crossing, and even a sweet treat that was born right along the way. So let's get started. Our day begins in the Powell River town site, a designated National Historic District of Canada. This community was built in the early 20th century to house workers from the nearby pulp and paper mill. Walking, or in our case, driving, through here is like stepping into a living museum. The Patricia Theatre, Canada's longest continuous running movie theatre, still stands proudly here, showing films just like it has since 1913. As we roll out of the town site, the waters of Malahat Strait sparkle on our right. Across the channel, we can see the outline of Vancouver Island, and that's where we're heading today. We're making our way south through Powell River towards the Westview Ferry Terminal. This is the gateway that connects the northern Sunshine Coast to Vancouver Island. There's a special feeling of anticipation as you drive down Marine Avenue, the ocean peeking between buildings, knowing a new adventure is just ahead. At the terminal, a line of vehicle waits. Families with cars packed to the roof, RVs returning from summer adventures, and trucks hauling goods up and down the coast. Around the lot, some people stretch their legs after the drive, others cradle takeaway coffees, and a few simply stand at the rail watching the waves roll in. On a clear day, the silhouette of Vancouver Island rises on the horizon, and it's not hard to feel a surge of excitement knowing we'll soon be sailing straight toward it. Then slowly, everyone inches forward as ferry staff in bright safety vests wave each vehicle aboard with practiced rhythm. Now we're aboard the BC Ferries vessel for the crossing from Powell River to Comox. The sailing takes about an hour and a half across the Strait of Georgia. Behind us, the coastal mountains rise high above the Sunshine Coast, and ahead, the Beaufort Range welcomes us to Vancouver Island. Inside the ferry, there's a cafeteria, a lounge with big windows, and plenty of spots to relax. But the best views are out on the deck, where the salty sea breeze mixes with the sound of waves rolling along the hull. Keep your eyes open. This route is known for wildlife. Seals, sea lions, seabirds, and even the occasional orca whale can appear along the crossing. As we approach Comox, fishing boats and sailboats dot the harbor, and the island's lush green coastline draws closer. Soon we'll be driving again. Here we are, rolling off the ferry in Comox. The first moment back on solid ground always feels refreshing after being out on the water. Comox is a town with a relaxed marina feel. Oceanfront cafes and a working harbor give it character. Just next door is Courtney, a slightly bigger center with shops, restaurants, and access to Mount Washington, the popular ski and hiking destination that rises just inland. Together, Comox and Courtney are one of the liveliest hubs on Vancouver Island's east coast. From here, most people heading south jump straight onto the inland freeway, Highway 19, but we're taking the scenic route instead, the old island highway, Highway 19A. This road hugs the shoreline, passing through small communities, offering ocean views, and bringing back the nostalgic feeling of road trips before freeways bypassed towns. Our first community along the old island highway is Union Bay. In the late 1800s, this was a booming coal port. Ships from around the world docked here to take on coal mined inland at Cumberland, and the town bustled with workers, saloons, and boarding houses. Trains once thundered down to the waterfront, loading coal directly into waiting freighters. Today, Union Bay has slowed to a peaceful seaside village, but reminders of its past remain. The old wooden wharves and pilings still reach out into the water, weathered by over a century of tides and storms. Rustling structures from the coal shipping days dot the shoreline, silent witness to an era of industry. Driving through now, it feels quiet and almost timeless. Heritage homes perch above the bay, looking out at the glittering Salish Sea. while small cafes and local shops cater to residents and travelers alike. On clear days, the view is breathtaking. Across Baines Sound, Denman Island rises from the water, and behind it, the coastal mountains form a dramatic backdrop. Union Bay is a place where history and scenery meet. Even though the coal industry is long gone, the character of this little village makes it one of the most memorable stops along the old island highway. Just a few minutes south of Union Bay, we come to Fanny Bay, a community that might look like another quiet seaside stretch, but it's actually world famous for what comes out of its waters: oysters. Since the early 20th century, Fanny Bay has been a hub of shellfish farming. Its calm, nutrient-rich waters are ideal for oysters, clams, and mussels, and for decades, seafood from here has been shipped across Canada and even around the globe. To this day, if you order oysters in a fine restaurant, there's a good chance they came from right here in Fanny Bay. Driving through, the village feels modest and unhurried. You'll see rustic houses perched along the shoreline, fishing boats moored nearby, and the occasional roadside shack or seafood market where you can taste oysters pulled straight from the ocean. For many travelers, that's part of the magic, stopping at a place that isn't just scenic, but also contributes something iconic to BC's culinary identity. From the highway, the view opens up across Baines Sound, with Denman Island lying just offshore. The combination of salt air, glinting water, and the knowledge that this little place helps feed tables around the world gives Fanny Bay a special charm. It's a reminder that even the quietest communities can have global reach. As the highway winds on, the scenery unfolds. To the left, the Salish Sea sparkles through the gaps in the trees, with the coastal mountains forming a dramatic backdrop across the water. To the right, small farms, rural homes, and roadside produce stands remind us of the island's agricultural roots. Continuing down the old highway, we arrive in Qualicum Beach, one of Vancouver Island's most beloved seaside communities. This town has long been a favorite vacation spot, especially for families and retirees who are drawn here by its relaxed pace, sandy beaches, and small town charm. The beach itself stretches wide and flat, with shallow water that warms quickly in the summer sun. When the tide goes out, endless sandbars appear, perfect for walking, kite flying, or just exploring tide pools. On a warm day, you'll see families scattered along the shoreline, children running barefoot, and the kayakers paddling quietly across the calm water. Downtown Qualicum has a distinctly heritage feel, with boutiques, cafes, and restaurants tucked into charming storefronts that make it easy to spend an afternoon wandering. Hanging baskets and well-kept gardens add color to nearly every corner, reflecting the community's pride in its appearance. From the highway, glimpses of the beach and the Strait of Georgia open up between stands of trees, while behind the town, the mountains rise dramatically inland. The combination of ocean and mountain views makes Qualicum Beach feel like a slice of Vancouver Island's perfection. It's a place that captures the essence of coastal living, quiet, scenic, and welcoming, with just enough to do if you want to linger. For many, Qualicum Beach isn't just a stop along the way, it's a destination in itself. Just a short drive south of Qualicum Beach brings us into Parksville, another one of Vancouver Island's most popular seaside destinations. Where Qualicum feels heritage and boutique, Parksville has the vibe of a classic family resort town. Parksville is famous for its long, sandy beaches and shallow tidal flats. At Rastrevor Beach Provincial Park, the tide can retreat nearly a kilometer, leaving behind vast sandbars that seem to stretch endlessly. It's the kind of place where kids can run free. Families set up picnics, and beachcombers wander for hours. In the summer, the warm, shallow waters make it one of the best swimming spots on the island. The town itself has a welcoming, easygoing atmosphere. Resorts and motels line the shoreline, many with direct beach access, and during the warmer months, the community really comes alive. Parksville is also home to one of the most unique summer events in Canada, the annual sand sculpting competition. Artists from around the world come here to turn heaps of sand into towering works of art, drawing thousands of visitors each year. Driving through, you can sense why Parksville has such a lasting appeal. It combines natural beauty, family-friendly fun, and a laid-back coastal lifestyle that feels both nostalgic and timeless. Together with Qualicum Beach, this stretch of the island is often remembered as the heart of Vancouver Island's holiday coast, a place people return to year after year. From here, the old highway begins merging with its modern counterpart, guiding us into Nanaimo. Nanaimo is the second largest city on Vancouver Island, a major hub with ferries back to the mainland, a lively downtown waterfront, and plenty of history. For us, it's also a place to reconnect, a chance to visit a longtime friend. Road trips aren't just about highways and the scenery. They're about people and stories too, and catching up with an old friend makes this journey even more meaningful. And of course, Nanaimo is famous for its sweet claim to fame, the Nanaimo bar. This no-bake dessert has its chocolate topping, custard-flavored filling, and coconut graham base, was created right here in this city. Over the years, it's become one of Canada's most iconic treats. You'll find Nanaimo bars in bakeries, coffee shops, and even fancy gourmet variations across the country. But there's something special about tasting one here in Nanaimo, in the city where it all began. But Nanaimo isn't just known for dessert. It has one of the quirkiest traditions on the West Coast, the Great International World Championship Bathtub Race, which started as a fun part of Nanaimo's centennial celebrations in the 1960s, quickly grew into an annual spectacle. Racers would literally take motorized bathtubs, modified with engines and mounted on boats, and speed across the Strait of Georgia all the way to Vancouver. It was wild, chaotic, and unforgettable. A perfect mix of competition and comedy that drew attention from around the world. Over time, safety concerns and challenges of racing all the way to Vancouver led the organizers to change the course. Today, the bathtub races are still going strong, but the route stays closer to home, looping around the waters near Nanaimo. Every summer, crowds gather along the waterfront to cheer on the racers, and it's become one of the city's signature festivals. Between its famous dessert and its equally famous bathtub race, Nanaimo has a playful, unique identity that you won't find anywhere else. South of Nanaimo, our next stop along Highway 1 is the hillside town of Ladysmith. Perched above the harbor, Ladysmith has roots that go back to the coal mining boom of the late 1800s. In fact, the town was originally built to house miners working the seams in the area, and much of its historic charm still reflects that era. Today, Ladysmith is known for its beautifully preserved heritage Main Street. As you drive through, you'll see rows of brick and wooden storefronts, many lovingly restored, that now house cafes, boutiques, and antique shops. It feels like stepping back in time while still enjoying the vibrancy of a living community. Down by the water, Transfer Beach Park offers oceanfront trails, picnic areas, and a chance to look out over the sheltered harbor, where fishing boats and pleasure crafts bob gently in the tide. On a summer day, locals gather here to swim, paddleboard, or just enjoy the view. But perhaps Ladysmith is best known for its annual Festival of Lights. Each winter, the entire town transforms into a dazzling display of holiday cheer, with thousands of sparkling lights strung across the streets, buildings, and trees. The festival draws visitors from across Vancouver Island and has become one of the community's proudest traditions. Driving through Ladysmith, you can sense the blend of history, community spirit, and coastal beauty that defines the town. It's a place that may be small in size, but it leaves a big impression on anyone passing through. Just a little further south from Ladysmith, we arrive in Chemainus, a town that turned a challenge into an opportunity. When the sawmill industry declined in the 1980s, Chemainus faced an uncertain future. But instead of fading away, the community came up with a bold idea: turn the whole town into an outdoor art gallery. Today, Chemainus is world famous for its murals. More than 40 large-scale paintings decorate the walls of downtown buildings, telling stories of the region's history, from its indigenous roots and pioneer settlers to the logging and milling industry that once powered the economy. These murals transformed Chemainus into a destination, drawing tourists from around the world and breathing new life into the local economy. Driving through on Highway 1, you'll even catch glimpses of these colorful works from the road. But the best way to appreciate them is to park and walk the streets. Each mural has its own story, and together they create a vibrant tapestry that celebrates the spirit of the town. Beyond the murals, Chemainus has a welcoming small town atmosphere. The streets are lined with cafes, galleries, and shops, many of them catering to visitors who come to explore the art. In the summer, live theater and community events add even more energy to the town. Chemainus shows how creativity and resilience can redefine a community. What was once a logging town is now an art and culture destination, and it's one of the most memorable stops along the drive to Victoria. As we continue our journey south, we arrive in Duncan, proudly known as the City of Totems. This community has embraced its cultural heritage in a way that makes it one of the most distinctive stops on the island. Scattered throughout downtown Duncan are more than 40 hand-carved totem poles. Each one tells a story. Some honor local indigenous families, others depict animals, myths, and historical events. Together, they form an open-air gallery of post-Salish art, making Duncan a living celebration of indigenous culture. For visitors, it's like driving through an outdoor museum, where every corner holds another piece of art to discover. But Duncan isn't just about totems. It's the heart of the Cowichan Valley, one of Vancouver Island's richest agricultural regions. The valley is famous for its farms, vineyards, and orchards, and has become a hub for local food and wine. Farmers markets, roadside stands, and artisanal producers make the area a paradise for anyone who loves fresh, local flavors. Driving through, Duncan stands out as more than just another stop on the highway. It's a reminder of the deep culture roots of Vancouver Island and a place where tradition and creativity continue to thrive. South of Duncan, the Trans-Canada Highway begins to climb into one of the most dramatic sections, the Malahat. This stretch of road winds high above the Saanich Inlet. For many, it's both a highlight and a rite of passage when driving to or from Victoria. The Malahat has a long history as a vital link between Greater Victoria and the rest of Vancouver Island. Before the highway was carved through here in the early 20th century, travel between Victoria and the north was slow and difficult. The road transformed that. Though in its early days it was narrow, steep, and considered treacherous, even now it's a section drivers approach with a bit of respect. But what makes the Malahat unforgettable are the views. At certain points, the highway carves close to the edge, revealing sweeping panoramas of the Saanich Inlet below. On a clear day, you can see Brentwood Bay, the Gulf Islands scattered across the water, with Mount Baker in Washington State rising in the distance across the Salish Sea. It's one of those moments where the scenery almost distracts you from the road, a reminder of just how beautiful Vancouver Island can be. After cresting the summit, the road begins to descend, winding down through forested slopes. The landscape slowly shifts as the rugged hills give way to gentler farmland and rolling countryside. The closer you get to the Saanich Peninsula, the more signs of the city appear. Traffic thickens, communities cluster along the roadside, and you feel the anticipation build as Victoria draws near. The Malahat isn't just a highway, it's a gateway. For travelers heading south, it feels like the grand entrance into British Columbia's capital. For those heading north, it's the road that carries them back into the heart of Vancouver Island. Either way, it leaves an impression. After descending the Malahat, the scenery shifts once again. Farmland and rolling hills of the Saanich Peninsula ease us into suburban neighborhoods. The traffic grows heavier, and before long, the road delivers us right into Victoria, the capital of British Columbia. Victoria is a city where old world charm and coastal beauty come together. Its heart is the picturesque Inner Harbour, often filled with cruise ships, ferries, yachts, seaplanes, and whale watching boats heading out to the Strait of Georgia. Along the waterfront stands one of the city's most recognizable landmarks, the Fairmont Empress Hotel. Opened in 1908, the Empress has hosted royalty, celebrity, and world leaders, and it remains famous for its traditional afternoon tea service. Just across the street are the striking Parliament buildings, home to BC's provincial government. Completed in 1898, their stone facade, copper domed roof, and carefully manicured grounds make them one of the most photographed spots in the city. At night, the buildings glow with thousands of white lights reflecting beautifully across the harbor. But Victoria isn't just about grandeur. It's also a city of gardens and neighborhood charm. It's known as the City of Gardens, thanks to its mild climate and love of flowers. Even downtown, hanging baskets burst with color in the summer. Just outside the city, world-famous Bouchard Garden showcases acres of stunning displays that change with the seasons. The city also has a vibrant mix of culture and history, from the Royal BC Museum, which tells the story of the province, to Fisherman's Wharf, where brightly painted floating homes and seafood stands line the docks. Victoria offers a balance of education, entertainment, and coastal relaxation. Arriving here after a long day of travel, starting in Powell River's historical townsite, sailing across the Salish Sea, winding through seaside villages, and climbing over the Malahat, feels like a fitting finale. Victoria is more than just the end of the road. It's a destination full of history, beauty, and life, and it brings our journey to a memorable close. And that wraps up our ferry and road trip from Powell River to Victoria. From the historic town site to the ferry across the Strait of Georgia, the coastal charm of the old island highway, a stop in Nanaimo for both friendship and dessert, and the winding road through Ladysmith, Chemainus, Duncan, and the Malahat. This has been a true Vancouver Island adventure. Thanks for joining me on the ride. If you enjoyed the journey, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you won't miss the next road trip. Until next time, safe travels.